Good morning. I'm Jenny Prim. I'm your functional consultant. I'm so excited. I had told Evelyn this and Christy before her when you all came on my schedule, because I'm actually from Boone, but I now live in Colorado. So this gives me a great excuse to get to run my home trails and to visit with friends. So you guys already are like, have a warm spot in my heart. So please don't do anything to change that. I'm kidding. Kidding. You won't. So I worked at Appalachian State University for 11 years. I was senior associate registrar there. So your curriculum, luckily, is pretty comparable to what we had at ASU, or what they still have there. They didn't shut down just because I left, even though I thought they should have. But, oh well. So that's really exciting, and I am familiar with a lot of your programs since in such close proximity, Watauga County, here to you all. So I am very excited and look forward to working with all of you. And yes, this is the quick little introduction. I could get to that slide, couldn't I? I'm just so excited to get started with you guys. But Jim English is going to tell you a little bit about him. Oh, and I now live in Colorado, so I moved from our mountains to bigger mountains. So.
I'm Jim English. I live by the big mountain, Mount Rainier. I live in the Seattle area. Kind of lived all over the country, but not quite this far east. So it's good to be here. I've been in higher education for about 11, 12 years. I worked at Ball State University as a business analyst. I worked at Taylor University, a smaller school in the Midwest, as the manager of the application development team, and also managed the banner support team for a time there. Prior to that, I worked in just as a good old IT consultant, kind of going all over the country, working in all kinds of industries. So I've been in the IT world for a long time. We won't put the number of years because then you can calculate and know how old I am.
You started when you were 2, right?
I started when I was 2, so it's 20 plus years. There you go. Thank you. She's always here for me. I like working with Jenny because she's here for me most of the time. Prior to that, I tell people, I worked in education. Actually, I got my master's in computers in education. I tell people everything I need to know about business and working in higher education, I learned at recess duty with elementary school kids. So I think I can maybe handle my own. If that's not enough, I worked at a boys' home for a couple of years with delinquent children. So I also have that background. Anyway, it's good to be here and get you finally on your road to successful launch of DegreeWorks. You have an excellent functional consultant. So.
I'll pay him later to say that.
No,
I'm teasing. I have fun. I should say I led our implementation at ASU of DegreeWorks, and so that was what brought me from your side of the room to this side of the room, because I love this product and I loved what it did for our advisors, for our faculty, and for the students. They just went live and turned it on in October to all of the students. We did a very soft, slow rollout. And you guys are gung-ho. April 1st is knocking on the door. So we have a lot to do. We're going to skip college staff because there's a lot of you, and there's no way that I'll be able to retain who all's in the room. But I understand I have some deans and some department chairs and some, is there anyone from provost's office as well? Nope. Advisors, registrar's office, IT. So, and it will take all of you to get this up and running in April. So thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule this morning to be here and to view this. I am going to run through just some background, I hope, about possibly what your goals were, what the reason was behind the purchase of DegreeWorks here at ETSU, and how we're going to work together to make this all happen. But some great things about DegreeWorks is that it enhances your academic advising. It's going to totally change the way your advising world, maybe this is a good thing for me to say, maybe not, how it's been functioning, because your students are now empowered, they're enabled, they have a whole lot more information when they walk in, as well as your faculty advisors. Do you have faculty advisors here? So are they well versed in everything every possible combination that a student could pursue here at ETSU? I'm seeing some chuckles. So I'll take that as a yes, they are. Most definitely, no way. So, this way we're taking that guesswork out of, will English, 1101 transfer into the biology department or whatnot if I change my majors? It's going to improve your student success because, again, they're going to have this roadmap. They're going to see what's outstanding, what has not, what they thought was an elective that would fill a requirement is actually going towards nothing towards requirement. These types of things. It'll help with enrollment management, planning your seats. You thought you only needed to offer, 5 sections of Chemistry 101, when actually you have all of these students who have indicated through using the planner that they are going to be taking that chemistry class this spring instead of fall, so you actually need additional seats, maybe hire additional adjuncts, those types of things. Can help increase your graduation rates because, again, there's a clear plan out there. If students follow the plans, that's great. We can't force them to do anything, even if you want, but you can look on there and see how their progress towards degree is working out. And the administrative efficiency goes back to that enrollment management, the seats management. How do we effectively plan for the spring term for our course offerings? So how does it work? We take your requirements, your course catalog, your check sheets, whatever 10 different ways your students find out about what they need to complete in order to get a degree in whatever major, and we translate that using a language we called Scribe, 1 class in, 5 credits in, and we put that into the system and it runs an algorithm and it takes their academic history and applies it and it creates a beautiful web audit. I'm going to show you all of this. And who are my folks who are going to be my scribes? Do you know who you're going to? I only saw one hand. That can't be right. Who else needs to have raised their hand?
We have a couple scribes. There's some backup scribes or not.
Okay, well, just be prepared because pretty soon you are going to have to yell out and jump up and down and woohoo because all these people need to know, do you take coffee, do you take chocolate, what do you need to keep you going in order to reach this April 1 date. But so the Scribe is what's going on and it's currently going on. We finish up with Scribe this Friday. So you all have 2 scribes that have been assigned to you, one working on undergraduate programs and one graduate programs. But what we do is at night we run a system, we run a job, and we look at Banner, because you all are a Banner school, right? Okay, good. And it says, okay, are there any new students? Great, let's bring them over and put them into DegreeWorks. Did anything change about the students who are already in DegreeWorks? Did they have registration? Did grades post? Did they drop a class? Something. Great, let's bring over those changes and it will run those audits in batch. And then when you come in the morning, the little technical gnomes were in there doing their thing, and out comes a new audit for those students. There's several different views, and I'm going to show you all of those. But some great features in DegreeWorks. The advice. So you understand 1 class in or 6 electives in. You can extend that advice for those 6 electives and say, no, we want these to be focus electives that you have assigned with your advisor or approved by your advisor. So that advice can be as lengthy and verbose as you would like it to be, or it can be succinct as, 1 class in, Bio 1101, whatever you all prefer. And that's advice that your scribes will tweak for you to make sure that it's as you would like for it to be. So that's why I say nice things about scribes all the time, because they're the workhorses behind this. You've got the Student Educational Planner. You'll hear it referred to as SEP a lot. If you look at any of our documentation, you'll see SEP. But this is how you can lay out a plan for your students. Lockstep, so you should take this course, then this course, then this course in these terms. You can apply these individually or in bulk. So you have a cohort of new medical students coming in the fall, and here is their plan. So let's apply all of these templates in bulk to this new cohort. Then you can go in and you can tweak each of these plans to finesse them to fit that student's needs. So it's nice because you can apply it in bulk, you build it once, spring term, fall term, summer term, spring term, fall term, summer term, whatever order, or if you all are quarters, you all are semesters, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. But the planner is a wonderful thing, and that we cover on my last visit, which is training 3. The curriculum planning, again, ties back to the planner and how you all can pull out some data, do some data extraction, some data mining to determine those seats managements when you need to offer courses. We have what if and look ahead functions as well, features. Are you all currently using CAP?
Yes.
Okay, so you're somewhat familiar with what if? Yes. Okay, so it's, but it's kind of a beefed up what if compared to what you have available in CAP. This can be tied to, so do you have concentrations as well? With the scribe still going on, I haven't been able to go in and really look at the specifics of everything. So you have concentrations that are tied to the major. Great. So in what if, we can have that come through so that if I'm this major, then you can only pick from these concentrations. So you aren't getting a mismatch of program selection when that student runs that what if. All right? And the what if is fabulous because the student at 2 in the morning, playing around saying, well, I thought I wanted to be an electrical engineer. No, now I think I want to be a botanist. No, now I want to be veterinary science. So they're not eating up advisor time when they have that face-to-face time. And this is where I was talking about the role's really going to start to change because they can print off that what if or they can save it to their hard drive as a PDF, email it to you and say, so I want to change my major. Here's the reasons. Here's where my courses are going to fall. What do you think? So it just starts to elevate those conversations that you'll have with your students. Advising notes, you all I know are going to use freeform and predefined because you've already completed your predefined list. You guys already get a check mark, which is fabulous. And advising notes can be applied at any point from any place as you're viewing the audit, which is nice. They are viewable by students. So anything that you want to keep confidential, record in Banner. All right, but not here because they are viewable by the student. GPA calculators, we have 3 of them. All right, and I'll demonstrate all 3. Do you currently have GPA calculators available to students? Another tool? Okay. And exceptions processing. You don't do any exceptions here, do you? No, not at all. Not at all. No waivers, no substitutions, none of that. So do you all use workflow? Yes. So are you planning on using workflow then with DegreeWorks? And I'm looking at Cheryl because she keeps answering my questions. Yes. Okay, great. So what this will mean is that the student or the advisor or the faculty member can start the exception and say, okay, I took anatomy and physiology at Appalachian State University. Now I'm transferring to ETSU's exercise science program and I would like for that course to apply. But, we have a difference in hours. One's 6 hours, one's 5 hours. And so you're not giving me the credit that I think I should get because I suffered through anatomy. I really did take anatomy and physiology and suffer through it. And, I don't want to have to do it again. Please don't make me. So I can put that into my email or put that into the exceptions, hit send. It sends it off to the appropriate department. They say yes or no. Then it will send an email to either who applies your exceptions. Okay, so it would send an email to Cheryl's office and say, yes, we like Jenny. Let her apply this anatomy and physiology class. Or, no, they're really different courses and ours is more intense because she's on the nursing track and not the exercise science track or, for whatever reason. And it would send that notification back to me. So it just cuts down on the paperwork and the having to track it down. And you can log in at any time and see where those exceptions are in that workflow, in that process. So is there a bottleneck? Cheryl's been out for a week and no one remembered to check to see that a lot of approved exceptions had come in. So it will hopefully cut down on a lot of your paper trails and running around and hunting signatures. Okay, so let's take a look and log in and see what DegreeWorks actually looks like. This is the reason why I did everything on the same computer. Okay. So this login will only be for those individuals who have access to multiple instances. Most of you will get in through single sign-on, I'm guessing. Are you all planning on doing that? Do you use single sign-on or portal? Yeah. Okay. There we go. So when you log into DegreeWorks, this is what you will see. It's going to be nice and blue and white, and it's going to say SunGuard, and you all are going to build this tunnel to match, right? Here at ETSU. You guys are kind of a tough crowd this morning. I'm kidding. This will all be changed. It'll be what we refer to as a localization, where you can tailor this to be the look and feel of ETSU. All right, so you can change the colors. You can do whatever you want, except remember, your IT folks will have to carry these forward with each upgrade, those types of things. So we will talk about this and try to keep this as vanilla as we can. But this is where you would log in order to search for a student. If you don't know their ID, if you do know their ID, and what do you call their student IDs here? E-numbers. Every school is different. So if you know the E-number, you could enter it in right here, hit enter, and it will pull up that student if they're in the system. If I need to find a student, I need to search for them, I can click the Find button. And how many people have ever seen DegreeWorks? So this is your first time. You're so excited, aren't you? Thank you. I got a little reaction. I like engaged groups. Okay, so this is how you can search for a student, and there's a lot of different criteria that you can search by, all right? Degree, level, class level, source, meaning student or applicant, major, minor, college. I can go on and on. That third column, this is custom data, sport, academic standing, student attribute, and those are just there as samples of you might want to search by these. I don't know. Those might be things you all use or don't use here. But if there's something on, if there's a search criteria that you would like to see, talk about it, and I guess send that request to Evelyn, and then that can be added during localizations. But what I am going to do is I am going to look for undergraduate students. And I click search. And there's just a very small handful of students in here from the installation, but they return down here at the bottom. And I'm going to click OK because I want the full list of them. And it's running around the world, looking up information. Okay. Oh, I was supposed to pull up an graduate level because the undergraduate blocks have not been loaded. Okay, so hang on. Let me go back. Wayne is frantically trying to finish your scribe, so he did not upload any of your blocks. We build an audit based on blocks, degree, major, minor, concentration. So when I'm saying blocks, that's what I'm talking about is your actual requirements. So let's look at a graduate student. What did she say? Let me pull up masters. How many different programs do you all have, majors? A lot?
Yes.
Just, is it 200? Is it 100? Yeah. How many students do you guys have? Oh, okay. I was off by a bit. I said 18,000 because I was thinking it was around. Is that with graduate school students it's 18,000? Okay. Okay. Little time filler there while I was trying to load. Okay, so this is DegreeWorks. This is what the worksheet looks like. This is what the audit looks like. So what we have is, and depending upon, different people will have different views based on security access, all right? But this everyone has. And this is, most importantly, what your students see, all right? So up at the top, you've got their information, name, degree, major, level, class level. Last audit. This is saying, when was the last time that an audit was run? When was the last time that the DegreeWorks system went through and ran the algorithm to see, did anything change, is everything good? Last refresh is, when was the last time I went out to Banner and I grabbed information? All right, when did that happen? It happened during installation, because your install of the system was on the 9th of October. All right. You can freeze audits. That's what this is up here at the top. Some people will have this, some won't, or you may choose not to use this at all. There are different reasons to freeze an audit: end of semester, graduation, grad checkout, a variety of reasons. All right, now we're into the meat and potatoes. Here's your student header. So we've got the student information. So how many advisors are in the room? This is just for you. So right here, if I click this student's name, it will immediately open up my email, and it'll be formatted to them. I'll be copied on it as the advisor who's sending the email, and then you can send your email to them. So it's really nice that this is linked to their email. So no more hunting and searching and opening up a contact list or something like that for that individual's email. Once we do the advisor extract, this field right here will be populated with that student's advisor's name. So I'm doing a thesis. I have a program advisor, I have a department advisor, I have a thesis advisor, and if all of those advisors are loaded in Banner on SGA ADVR, then all three of them will appear there. So the student, when they're in here, they can just as easily click on your name to send you an email.
We don't assign advisors.
Well, that's a bummer. So how do you do advising?
We have professional advisors in a lot of areas.
Mhm.
We have faculty advisors in the departments.
So are there general advising mailboxes?
Not currently.
Okay. So this we might want to put on the list to discuss. One of the nice things about implementing a new product is you get to discuss all your business practices. It's lots of fun for you all. I'm sorry, say that again?
When you were working at APPI, did you connect with students and advisors?
They had assigned advisors, and we never deleted that history. So, I mean, you updated in Banner to be specific for terms, but you always had that history so you knew who had given what information to a student. So we can talk about that, but it is a really nice feature, even if it's a general mailbox to a department that you all can create. IT's sitting there going, oh, please stop, please stop. But we can talk about that because it is a really nice thing to be able to email directly from here. But you do have that capability to email the student directly from the system. Okay, overall GPA, this is being pulled directly from Banner. So we like for this to match whatever their overall GPA is in Banner. And then you've got their program information on the right-hand side. And if there's additional information you'd like to be able to see about a student, we can add it here during that localizations, the localization updates that will be completed in February. Okay, so now we've got some progress bars. One is requirements, one is credits. And these we will talk about more at length. But, you know, requirements, what is needed to complete this degree? Credits is total credits. How many have I taken? So I might not have completed any of my requirements, but I could have, you know, 15% of my credits met. But they're all down there in those electives that don't apply towards graduation. So I like to talk about those bars and make sure everyone understands what exactly they're representing. We can keep both. We can do away with them. We can keep one or the other. Up to you all. So now we're going to get into your requirements. So here we've got the different blocks. And like I said, we build from degree, then major, then minor or concentration, depending upon what those program requirements are. But you've got the degree in the MSW. So everything that applies to every student for that degree is going to be in that degree block. Total hours required for the program. Do you have any minimum residency requirements? Do you have a minimum GPA or requirement in there? Anything like that. Your intent to graduate has been applied here. Those types of things. Here's some of that advice. We can have it be dynamic in places saying, you know, 63 credits are required. You currently have 12, so you still need 51 more credits. So that's dynamic, and that's where you can enhance advice. You know, you can make it as verbose as you want or make it as succinct as you want. Up to you all. Still needed. More advice. So this is telling the student that they're required to submit a formal intent to graduate form, I guess, to the graduate office at the start of the semester that they are going to be graduating. Once that's received, then this is fulfilled. You've got the academic year or catalog year. Do you all refer to it as academic year or catalog year? Okay, so you might want that academic year changed to catalog year, which is something we can do quickly. Here you've got the total credits required, 63, credits applied, 12, GPA, 0. Then we get into the major in social work. So here are those specific course requirements or non-course requirements necessary to graduate. And I noticed this last week, we need to get a patch applied. You should be seeing the individual courses that are here that will fulfill advanced practice with individuals, social work, research 2. So it should say still needed and then have that course information. Here we see some in-progress courses for their concentration. Oh, sorry, I jumped. So you have in the headers are the blue horizontal bars. So you've got GPA and then the credits required, credits applied. This GPA is a calculation of those requirements that are there in that block. So you will see, depending upon how many blocks a student's audit has, they could have 5 or 6 different GPAs that are listed there in addition to that overall that's in the student header up at the top. Okay, so every time there's a header, you're going to see that GPA if it's a major, minor, degree, concentration block. So here's concentration. We see in progress. So this student unfortunately hasn't met any requirements. If they had, they'd have a green checkbox. We like green checkboxes. All right, type A personality here. I like the boxes. The red boxes means still outstanding, still needed. Your white single squiggly or tilde is in progress, and your double tilde, such as the major requirements, says 98% complete, which we know isn't true based on what we're seeing here. Down at the bottom, we get buckets. We get an in-progress bucket, so those courses that they're currently enrolled in or they're registered for. So have you all completed registration for spring? So we would see any courses, if this student was registered for spring, we would see them here. Remember, the last snapshot was October 9th, so that was probably before your registration took place. We see a fall-through bucket, meaning those courses that don't apply towards their degree, they don't fit anywhere. So learning for the sake of learning, which we all appreciate being in higher education. Students might not understand that quite yet. But then you would also have courses over the limit, notes, those types of things. Yes, sir?
Does the in-progress separate the courses in which they're currently enrolled and the courses for which they will enroll in the spring?
No, it does not. They all go into that in progress and they all will show the IP grade. The difference will be, you will also see the term. So it would say fall 2012 versus spring 2013 up in the audit itself. Good question. If I wanted to see this student's class history or what's their academic history, I can click on class history, and this, once it gets there, will show me, it's kind of an unofficial transcript, if you will. It's just going to show me those courses that student completed by term. So it's sequential. There's no test scores. There's it's no frills. All right, this is just what have I completed, what's in progress, in the order in which it was completed. So this is just a real clean way to look at courses by term. While Scribe's still going on, we can't go in, we meaning Jim and myself, and complete all of the setup because it can tinker with the scribes being able to finish their work, and it's very important for them to finish their work. So I apologize for some of this seeming not to be working in the way that I would like for it to work. Okay, so let's go back to add a note. Again, I'm going to, student was advised to register for courses, so I'm going to save that note. Here we go. So it was successfully added. Now I'm going to run a new audit. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see here that I have a notes bucket. You'll also see it says internal. We will set this to be transparent to the student so the student sees the notes, because I'm an advisor and you come to my office and we're talking and I flip my screen around and you take a look at your audit. I'm logged in as me. I have greater access than you as the student. So you're going to see those notes. you're going to see that student was advised to stop cutting classes and expect to pass, or, these types of things. So it's just good practice for those to be viewable and visible by all. I'm not sure if that's a change in culture for you all. It'll be something that we certainly will be talking about during training sessions. How are your notes currently, your advising notes?
We're decentralized, so every college does it different.
Does it their own way? Well, so we're going to all come together now and try and agree on something. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. Note to self, lots of coffee for me. No, I'm kidding. Okay. So here you see the notes. We now have this bucket. So if I want to modify the note, I can click Modify Notes. And let's see. So I'm just free typing. Student also advised to bring chocolate every Thursday. Okay, so I can add that. Okay, so I've modified the note. Where's my save button? Oh. This is one of those things that I will request that you all change in localizations, is the modify and delete icons, because they're just not intuitive, obviously. This is the save button. Doesn't that make sense? Okay. So, bring on Thursday. Okay, so now I can click Save, run new audit, and it will be there. So who all can apply notes? And you see the change there. You don't see a second entry that says a change was made. Same date, still same account, DegreeWorks Manager. So now I can go in and I can delete a note. And this is, your system's not very happy. Let's see. So I can go in and I can just click that same icon that's going to appear on the left, if it'll come up for me. And I can delete the note. And then the note's gone. There's no record of the note. There's no history that a note ever existed. So you all will need to decide who's going to have access to modify and delete, because those two are tied together. And so that'll be a security conversation that we'll have. Yes, ma'am?
Are the notes able to be stored anywhere in Banner, actually?
No, actually it's a great question, and thank you for asking it, because I forgot to mention this earlier. DegreeWorks Banner talks to DegreeWorks. DegreeWorks does not talk back to Banner. So it's stored here, and Jim will get into that during his presentation, talking about where this information is stored. The servers are different files, different tables. So
As far as security, even who has access to run a degree audit and those kinds of things, when we're talking about advisors, we also have graduate assistants that advise.
So depending upon, we look at not individuals, but at user roles, and that's how we set up security. And so we set it up, we kind of have a baseline, if you will, for the super users, to use a Banner term, the power users. Those have the registrar security setting. It's not in reference to a specific job as registrar, but it's just you have access, you have the keys to the kingdom, if you will. Then you have your advisors who can do exceptions and who cannot do exceptions. And then we have students. And then we can tweak any of those as we need to. And we can tweak on an individual basis.
So that security is completely separate from the banner.
Oh yes, DegreeWorks this is a whole nother system. This is a whole nother implementation. It just draws from Banner for all of its information. Yes, ma'am.
As far as can you have updated and delete? I mean, if you understand there could be a reason to delete a note, but how does that keep a record then of what's actually happening with the student?
And that's the question I would ask to you to get to who needs that key, who needs to be able to delete. Modifying, I can see lots of reasons to modify a note, but delete and modify are currently tied to each other. So it's just, you've just got to start thinking differently, and now's the time. And I'm presenting this now to you. I typically don't even bring this portion up right now, but you guys are on a really tight timeline, and it is going to require some collaboration from all of you to really think through these policies in your business practices, because just because we've done it this way for all of time, do we need to keep doing it that way? Is that the best way? I don't know those answers. You all might have ideas on those answers, but working together, you can certainly get to them. And I'm happy to share best practices with you and what others have done. And there are great resources available to you. The Commons. I don't know how many people are members of the Commons. It is a place where you can go and you can post questions and have conversations with other schools, institutions who are using Ellucian products. And there is a DegreeWorks community there, and it is a wonderful community. It's very collaborative. Unless you just want to reinvent the wheel, you won't have to, because you can go to the Commons and ask for help, and you'll get just a lot of responses. You might already have done that with the predefined notes. So back to notes. I can just click this icon, delete, it's gone, bye-bye, no warning. And my bucket will be gone.
Does that mean that one person can delete another person's notes?
You are on it. You are sharp this morning. Yes. Yes, it does. So, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So you also have that conversation of, what does it mean to be a professional working in higher education? What does it mean to have, read FERPA agreement? And I don't know if you all have to sign one here or not. Those types of things. So, okay. We also have a disclaimer down here at the bottom, and that's going to be one of your first pieces of homework, which is saying, here's our disclaimer about this report. Your actual checkout's completed by the registrar's office or the dean's office. If you have questions, here's who you contact. Requirement change, just because it says this, something might come up, those types of things. So that's something that you're going to want to go ahead and get legal started working on. And I actually think I had sent that to Christy. So it may already be in the works. I don't know. Okay, so that's notes. And then I'm going to jump over to exceptions. Petitions, to use petitions, that's how you use workflow, which requires some setup. As you all know, if you use workflow in order to get the petitions working. So in CAP, you're used to waivers and substitutions, right? That's it. We don't have 2 different exceptions. We offer 5. All right, so you're getting more bang for the buck. Let's see if this will load. I keep looking at Jim in the hopes that it's going to load. So with exceptions, and I go over all of this during training 2, so my 3rd visit. There's 5 different types. Force complete, which means I don't care if there's a GPA requirement. I don't care if there's a minimum hour requirement. Any type of qualifier you have, it's going to disregard that. You have substitute, a 1 for a 1. All right, that one's pretty straightforward. You already know this in CAP, but you cannot do a substitution for a range in DegreeWorks. Also allow means you have a requirement that's fulfilling a graduation requirement someplace else on the system, on the student's audit, but you'll also allow it to apply to a second location. So it's just updating the scribe and adding additional courses there. Apply here means this class will only fulfill this one rule right here, this one requirement. And remove course or change the limit. That is if you want to take something off or you want to change their overall hours required or credits required, you can use that. Yes, ma'am.
So if I apply something and it fills a requirement in a block and that student do a want if and change his major, does that apply still?
Great question. And you're going to have to answer that question because when we go through and do setup, we have to tell the system. DegreeWorks does have the capability to say, okay, I'm a biology major, and I was given this also allow or this exception, whatever it was. Now I have switched and I am a film industries major. And so those exceptions that the biology department said I could have, they all go down to another bucket that says unenforced exceptions because the film or the English department, wherever film is offered, they would have to reapprove those, okay? So they followed the block, they followed the major with the student. Do you all have a gen ed, a core? So all of your undergraduate students have to complete that core or gen ed. Is it core or gen ed? Okay, so oh goody. So if the student, if it can carry over with core, because let's say they have the same core between their old major and their new major, that exception will carry over. So it's just when it's the major, the minor, the concentration. DegreeWorks says, wait, different players are involved. We need their approval. If you want it set up that way. Most places want it set up that way. So, but all I have to do is highlight a radio button and say also allow, what's an actual course number? ANG? Okay, and I can put qualifiers on here. So I can say it has to have this many credits, or I have to have this min grade, or it could have only been taken during this term. So if you have selected topics, this is a great way to specify because selected topics, typically those course numbers are recycled every semester. And so you could do this. You could say with this title. So you can be as specific or as vague as you want here. I can say, is it with a C? C-H-E-R-Y-L? I had a 50-50 shot there. I can add the exception. Maybe. Okay, so it was added. And if I run a new audit, I'm now going to see my exception here. Realize I'm still in the exception screen, or view rather. So here, and again, we need to talk about if you want to apply this patch or if you guys are going to do the upgrade. But you should see ENGL 1010 right here. If I look at their worksheet, dun, dun, dun. here you see the exception that's been applied. And again, you should see in ENGL 1010. And I also, at the bottom, now have an exceptions bucket. And if I want to remove this, I simply highlight that radio button and click Remove Exception, and then it's gone.
Once they take it, does it come out of the exception box?
No, you'll always see the exceptions box. So it's up in the audit, but you see that exceptions box so you can quickly know how many exceptions have been applied to this student. A nice thing about exceptions is we can run some reports off of here. So you can see what exceptions are you guys applying frequently. And then you can go back to the department and you say, oh, we'd really love it if you guys would put through a proposal for a curriculum change because all of your students are getting the same exception. So let's make, see, I can go back and forth. Okay, so it is really nice to have that tool. So again, I highlighted, remove exception, pretty easy. Okay, so let's look at something fun. The rest of it's been fun, right? The front row is awake. I don't know about the back row. They're nodding their heads. Okay. I pick on everyone. If you're in the room, you're fair game. So just like I'm fair game, it's all good. So I like someone back there was doing this. Happy dances are a part of my requirements, so those folks who will be in trainings with me, you'll have to have your happy dance. You will need it. Yes, ma'am.
So is this the same as if you would leave a note in there and anybody can delete and add and delete and add? Yeah.
I did not plant these questions, I promise. Yes, if they have the power to apply exceptions. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You guys have a lot of trust in people. We usually do that.
So, and this is going to be fun with you all being decentralized to get some consensus. So you can already see there's some meetings that probably need to go ahead and start being scheduled and talking about some of these things.
I've got one other question. When you're talking about the apply to or something, and then the substitutions is for anything, right? But when you said the apply or whatever it was, does that mean you can say for just a specific program, if you're in the biology program?
Exceptions are only to the student, so it wouldn't apply.
But when you're talking about the what if, like you're saying, you can get this exception if you take, if you're this program, but if you do a what if for this other program, you can't get that exception.
Because the exceptions are applied to that individual student, and if they change a program, then
Doesn't fit into it.
the new program would have to approve that same exception if they were going to allow for it.
So it doesn't recognize it by program.
Right, unless we set it up that way. I mean, it's a simple flag that we set. Exceptions follow the blocks or they don't. Okay, GPA calculators. So here, this student had 51 credits remaining. There were 63 that were required. Currently, she's got a 0 for her GPA. She hasn't taken anything. So I want to be an A student. I want that 4.0. So here's my error message. You guys will have to write how you want this to, what you want this to say, unless you're good with that error message. It's just saying, you know, you have to take too many credits in order to achieve this. We know that really, you know, I don't know. You said I could do extra credit. I don't know. So, okay. So I can recalculate it. Okay, what do I need to graduate from ETSU 2.0? Because a C is failing in graduate programs. Yeah, same at ASU. So here, this is telling you, this is giving you some realistic advice. So I have to have at least a B+ in all of my courses, all 51 credits in order to get out of here with just the minimum. Okay, so that is the graduation calculator. Okay, what do I have to do to graduate with this GPA? GPA calculator is another piece of homework. You want a disclaimer on all of these. This, just because you put it in here doesn't mean that's what you're going to get. It's not going to affect Latin honors for your undergrads. You know, official GPA is calculated based on your official transcript in the registrar's office, these types of things. So I always encourage you to put your disclaimers on here. Term calculator. Term calculator is what is my GPA going to be at the end of this semester, including my overall GPA. Okay? So it's not a semester calculator, it's overall. But it's taking into account this semester's work. You can see if I have pre-registered courses, they will fill in automatically, or I could enter in additional courses. All right? And here we have some cleanup to do on some tables. But the student can select, you know, what do they think they're going to earn. So I'm going to say I'm going to get a C in one. And here it's going to say my calculated GPA, and it's an overall GPA, including this term, is going to be a 2.98. So I would be on suspension, or do you just automatically give them the boot? So again, you might want to work on the messages that come up. Disclaimer needs to be added here. And then we have the advice calculator. Which type of calculators do you currently have available to your students?
What you're on the term, like it, you put in how many credits, the grade that you want to make, and then
Okay. So this is the advice calculator. And I'm going to put in something that's realistic. 2.0 wasn't even realistic. So you get to RDC, the error message. So can you read that in the back? I would not be able to if I was sitting back there, just so you know. The error message says, achieving your desired GPA is not possible or not realistic. It would require too many credits. I think it's kind of a funny error message. Our provost made us change that error statement. It wasn't touchy-feely enough. The advisors all loved it because they were like, yes, be realistic. No sugarcoating. So you can alter that error message. Okay, so I'm just, oh my gosh. So let me see. Okay, so if I had a 2.5 and I had already earned 35 credits and I wanted a 3.8. Okay, here we go. So what this is saying to the student is you need to complete one of the following. Either 18 credits, earning a 4.0 in each of those courses, or 25 credits at the A-, or 58 credits at the B+. Okay? Again, we have cleanup to do on that grade table, and that's why you're seeing multiples of the B+, the A-, and the A. Yes, sir?
Does that tool work with repeat grades?
Well, yes, because in degree works, and they are you.
It would exclude a previous course. Will we
There's
be able to set the rules for that?
There's a lot of setup around repeats. So, are you using your coding and banner? Include, exclude. You're using A, E, and I. Always want to throw in OU. I mean, it's just it just goes there. So yes, it does. And I'm happy that you guys are using banner with the A, the E's, and the I's. Okay, so here you can decide, you know, what you want the message to be. We can leave all three calculators turned on. We can have just one or the other two. So that's up to you all to decide. What do you want to have available? Is 3 too many? Is 1 enough? You know, is 1 just really a lot of fun to play with? You know, I don't know. But again, disclaimer on all three, and you want to look at those error messages and make sure that you all have it set up as you would like for it to be. Okay, looking back at worksheets. Okay, so your students have access to this worksheet, and then they'll also have access to petitions once you all have workflows set up so that they could start a petition. But what if, and we don't have your curriculum rules set up, so I'm not sure how this is going to go for us. But here's where the student can log in. You're familiar with what if since you have it in CAP. And they can say, okay, I thought I wanted to earn my MSW, but I don't know if I can handle that day in and day out, depending upon what area they're going to go into. So they want to change. Oh goodness, what do I want to be? Anyone? Music. Music sounds so much better. No pun intended. I can pick the academic year, so if I'm moving catalogs, I can change. All right, and we started, you can see we have some cleanup to do here because I don't think we need to go back to 1942. During install, we pulled a lot of data from Banner, from your Banner tables, and, you know, lucky us meaning the ones who will remain in the room after this demo is concluded, we get to clean all this up. So, okay, I'm going to pick 1314, click Process What If. And this student didn't have any completed course, so what catalog year did we start with Scribe for you?
13.
Oh, and I picked 1314. Well. But we'll scribe a friendly error message so you don't get that 3701 error. Because I don't like that error message. Because it doesn't mean anything. You said 1213. What year is this student? And this is a new student, so she's 2013. Okay. There we go. Beginning of time worked. I'm not sure what's going on with your system. And now it's getting that. Do you have multiple things running on the DegreeWorks server?
No, plateau.
Okay. Well, I will talk you through this. So the student can select what they think they want to pursue now. We said music. The catalog, the appropriate catalog that they would be under. And then if they wanted to add additional areas, so if I wanted to be a double major at the undergraduate level, they could add additional areas. I would hit the process what if, and it will run that what if scenario for me. The worksheet looks identical, except that it will say what if audit right here in the top of the student header block. So that way the student knows this isn't my actual degree audit worksheet, all right? It's what if. And it will look the same. It will have their degree, the different blocks will be in here, but then typically there'll be a very big bucket at the bottom for fall through because, you know, they're looking at changes, so what courses aren't going to now apply? Yes, ma'am?
Is that built in for prerequisites as well?
No.
So potentially with the degree audit, they may see just the courses that are required for the major, but they're not going to see the prerequisites that may be required for those courses if they're different, correct?
Where do you all build your prerequisites in Banner?
It's my area.
Say again?
It's my area, right?
Okay. You don't do it in CAP area, do you?
It is cap area prerequisites.
Okay. So DegreeWorks does not, it can't pull prerequisites from the CAP area. Okay, we'll have to we'll look at it and see. But there is a way for if this course had a prerequisite, it would have an asterisk at the end of it, and that would indicate that it had prerequisites. It will not pull into the audit and say these prerequisite courses are required unless that's a part of your requirements and we scribed for them. Okay? And course link, these courses are hyperlinked to your information in Banner, your course descriptions in Banner, and we can pull from there if you have the prerequisites. That's why I'm asking where they're built in Banner, because if they're not built in CAP, they'll come through. If they're built in CAP, it won't.
You're not saying the prerequisites are going to be rebuilt, are you? Because I think I may have to fly the coop.
No, I'm not saying anything like that right now. So we'll take a look. We'll take a look. But it also pulls up the course description, and if you want it to be tied to registration, it can be. However, this
For in the description, it would pull that.
it pulls the description.
Because I know in our prerequisite may be outside of the department, but they may have to.
But they're going to have to click to see it. So it's going to be a point of training, point of information to really drive that home, to talk to them about that. So there are several. I didn't mean to give you a mild heart attack back there. I'm sorry. No, just mild, just mild. But like I said, you can tie your courses to reflect how registration's going, what seats are available, what sections are going to be offered. But think about that, because it's only refreshed at midnight or whatever time you all run the cron jobs. So I register at 3 in the afternoon. When I looked at it this morning at 8 a.m., there were 10 seats. And now it's 3 o'clock, it's my registration time, and they're all gone. But DegreeWorks said there were 10 seats. So we'll look at it. What'd you say? So, but it is something that's available for you. So I just, I'm going to point out the pros and the cons. I get to play devil's advocate throughout all of this.
Say as at a time, like there's so many seats available at this time.
And that's what the schools who choose to have it on, that's what they do. Is they say, remember, this is refreshed.
As at this time.
Could change. So, Okay. So, look ahead. So I want to know how the courses I'm planning on registering for next summer, next fall, where would those fall in my audit? So I can enter those in here, and I'm going to pick on English because I know that course number because you told it to me. But if I don't know a course number, I don't know the prefix, I can, right now this is not something that is actually linked, but the find button, this we can direct this back to your course catalog URL so that students can see your course lists. All right, it's not a schedule of classes, it's your catalog. So I don't know if you have a an assigned URL to your course catalog and it gets updated every year, or if it changes, so that we'll talk about. But this Find button is located both here on Look Ahead and on What If. So I could click there if I wasn't sure. What are some other prefixes and course numbers?
Math 1530. Philosophy 1030. PHIL.
1030? Great, thank you. And if I wanted to remove a course, I highlight it and remove it, but I hit Process New. I've got a drop down of what courses are being applied in here to this audit. These all should go to a fall through bucket. Yay! Because this is a graduate student and we put in undergraduate courses. But here you see, here are those 3 fall through courses, and here's where you're showing in progress or pre-registered, because that's what I'm thinking about doing with them. But they go to fall through. You see that there are 9 credits applied here. There are 3 classes, so I'm guessing they're all 3 hours each. But this is your fall through bucket.
One more thing, if that didn't fall through, if they fit somewhere, would it change the progress bar?
No, because the progress bar is only going to reflect completed coursework. So if it's rolled to academic history in Banner, then it would apply to that bar. Because there's no guarantee I'm going to pass that course. So right here it says Look Ahead Audit, top right. And then I've got my drop down at the very top that says what courses am I considering. And if you wanted to put a note like that, the best place to put it would be here on the Look Ahead. And I do not know why we get the Internet Explorer cannot display every time. So right here we've already got kind of some guiding text. You're going to want to read this and make sure that this fits what you would like the message to be to your students. So it says, to see an audit showing courses for which you plan to register in future terms, use the form below, enter by subject code and number. If you use prefixes instead of subject code, you might want to change that. Once you've created your list, please click the Process New button. You can edit that text so it is more appropriate for you all. Great question. The financial aid, athletic eligibility, those will be removed. You can have those for future considerations, but those are not delivered in the Baseline Degree Works package. And it just requires some setup of some tables and some scribe. And that's the basic, well, let me show you. Okay, so then we've got some other formats depending upon what your role is. So students, and I'm going to be using students as my focus. So registration checklist. Oh, you can do all of these in What If. You can do all of these in Look Ahead. I want to be back at the worksheet. So if I want to see what I still need to register for to graduate, and because your advice is dropping off, it's not going to be very elaborate, but it would have in here still needed, and it would list each of those courses. So this is very basic information, just what is left for me to register for. It does not show what I've already completed, just here's what's outstanding. Graduation checklist. This shows everything that's required for me to graduate. The advice is gone, so that information will not be showing up. And this, again, it's just whittled down worksheet views to focus on either registration or graduation. We can leave these on, we can turn these off. And that'll be a conversation once you all get into the system and start using it and looking at it. You might decide, ooh, the registration checklist, you know, that one's good, but the graduation one, we really want them to look at the full audit and not just the graduation checklist because they might miss something because your advice isn't on there. That type of stuff is omitted from this view. Questions about the big overview? Again, this is very high level. We did not get into much detail. You're thinking, oh my gosh, how long would that take if we did? Just kidding. Okay, so let's keep talking about this session. And actually, I don't know, for those of you who are not going to be in on all the training, you're welcome to stay for this. This is talking about this training session and future training sessions. It's kind of an overview and what I need from you all, what you're going to need from me. I would like, for those in the room, who here is considered on the functional side of the house for this implementation, for this project? Oh, we didn't want to raise our hand. Okay, so if you could go, just tell me your name and tell me your role. Are you a scribe? Because I want everyone in the room to know who you are and what your role is going to be. And when they see an email from you and it says DegreeWorks, they're going to think, oh, I need to respond to this rather quickly, rather than waiting. We'll start with Evelyn, because she's right here. And we all know Evelyn, because she already introduced herself.
Yeah, so I'm Evelyn, and I'll probably be doing everything. So I'll be the main contact for the DegreeWorks, scribing, and hopefully not problem solver, but directing all the problems to Cheryl. So mostly, the degree person will be sending emails, and you'll be sending stuff to me for DegreeWorks.
So you'll be the primary
Yes.
point of contact.
Yes, and I'll be doing training also.
Sweet, you've already identified your trainer. That's great. So we'll start on the next. Was there anyone else? Did I skip anyone? Okay.
And I'm Cheryl Burnett, I'm a registrar and kind of overseeing the project, and we'll be doing trainings and problem solving, whatever, and for scribing. All of your work.
I'm in the graduation office, and I'm apparently Evelyn's right-hand man.
Right-hand woman.
And I'm Teresa Williams, and I'm the Director of University Advisement, and so I'm going to be working with Evelyn and everyone else, making sure that the advisors have input on the setup and those kind of things.
You're from what office? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Graduation.
I'm with Donations, I'm in the registrar's office. I'll be also writing the scribe and the backup if needed, or with all the curriculum, so I'm still on the problem solving.
I'm Tom Donahoe, Associate Registrar, and we do whatever's needed.
Ah, isn't that the story of the registrar's office? So I jumped ahead in PowerPoint to talk about the team that's required. And so those folks who just identified themselves. So we just heard, so Evelyn's our campus project manager, pretty much in conjunction with Cheryl. Scribers, you guys will be super scribes by the end of next week. I expect someone in the room to make nice red capes for you with S's, those types of things. Our registrar. So who's the executive sponsor for this? Who? Okay, great. So that's the person I write to when you guys need things or you need more money to do things. Okay. So I'll see if I can work some magic. No. Okay. The academic affairs liaison. So this person is who helps to clarify academic policies for us because they are so clear the way they're written, right? The first section of your catalog is always just clear as mud. Yeah, no. Are you all unique and it actually is clear? Wow, I'm lucky. Who would that be? Is that you, Cheryl? Would you be our point of contact? Or their point of contact? Okay. Academic advisor, we know. And last but not least, the back row, our IT folks. Their heads perked up. So who are our IT folks assigned to the project? Your turn to stand up, raise your hand.
My name's Gabe. I think most everybody knows me.
So are you the person that I contact when I need the server, the DegreeWorks server restarted or Tomcat restarted, or?
No, that's me.
That's me.
I'm Jim Ashton. I'm the local TBA here. I'm very much in charge of banner and now the
You're not busy at all, like anyone else in this room, so good. Anyone else from IT?
I'm just front work.
You're just grunt work. Okay, great.
They delegate to you then, right?
So, and then everyone else in the room, you guys are our chairs and our deans and just other interested folks. Yes? So you're the folks that the scribers, the first group that stood up, will be contacting with questions and we'll be working. Because the way this works is they do the work, they make sure that the courses are in there, but then you actually have to review it and make sure it makes sense and this is how we would like for it to be. And this is, the way it should read. And we want if instead of then, or, different things. But it will take every single one of you to work together to make this happen for April 1st, which is very doable. But I keep saying April 1st because it really is around the corner. And I know lots of us like to take a little downtime between semesters, or we might have to create new syllabi for next semester. I mean, there is stuff that has to happen, or maybe graduate the kids from this term. Go figure. It never ends, I know. So this is a good time for those who would like to get out of Dodge while you can. You are welcome to. If there are any other questions, please feel free to ask me right now. If you're part of the IT, part of the core group that went around and introduced themselves, you all get to stay and play. Yay. So thank you so much, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you on future visits.